Hello everybody, and welcome to Exploring the Afterlife and Past Life Regressions with Paul Goddard. I'm just going to start sharing this out, and then I'll start reading people's names as well. I know that you were going to expect having the lovely Lindsay and Jon on, but they are feeling not too well at the moment, so that is a shame. They're not feeling very well. And we all wish them a nice speedy recovery. They went away to their wonderful place that they like to retreat to, and they kind of came back feeling a bit on the poorly side. So yeah, I know for myself, when I've had colds fairly recently, because I missed a few chit-chats, they just really absolutely zonk you. They absolutely take you out. So do let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. It'd be nice to start seeing some of your names pop up here. And so yes, because Lindsay and Jon unfortunately can't make it tonight, we're going to do a bit of a part 2, because I only actually managed to do half of the regressions last time round. Just checking, I just had a message, not just check my messages, oh that's fine. Just checking that it's nothing to do with this stream, saying everybody's having difficulty hearing me. So how is everybody doing today? I do hope that you're having, or have had, an outstanding day. Please say hello. Please join in the chat. That will be fantastic. I've got a couple of extra things as well as past lives to add this time round. I've also got the suggestibility test that I did with Lindsay and Jon, and I've also got hello Pat, I hope you're doing good. I've also got as well commonly asked questions about hypnosis to add in as well to this, and I've also got that I'm putting into this as well why I use the corridor method during my inductions most of the time, and how I've changed things as well. So I hope that everybody's good. Hi Moira. And I hope, Sue, hello, good evening to you. It's nice to see people coming on board. And as I was going to say, welcome people watching on Past Life Regressions with Paul Goddard, and welcome to people watching on Exploring the Afterlife on Facebook or on YouTube. It was going to be the lovely Lindsay and Jon, but they're not feeling too well at the moment, and because of it, I thought it would be, because I know what it's like when I have a cold, give them a break, and I will do part 2 of my regressions. So the first regression I'm going to start off with is actually the regression that I finished with last time, and the reason why I'm going to start with this time is because I think that I basically showed this regression and said goodbye to everybody, so nobody had a chance to comment on this one. This is with the wonderful Janet during her regression, and it was to show how people really change their personality, how they really become the person in the regression, and it just always makes me smile when I see this particular clip of Janet. So I will be showing some new stuff. At least it's in my Past Life Regressions with Paul Goddard, and a couple from other people's channels as well when I was on. So I do hope you enjoy tonight's show, and I hope that you join in with me to wish Lindsay and Jon a speedy recovery too. So this is Janet's past life. With this lifetime, Joe, what do you feel Mama does with her days? What do you feel Mama does with her days?
Sometimes she dresses up and she goes to tea at somebody else's house. And sometimes we have visitors, ladies. I think they're ladies from church. And they wear long skirts, and they have nice blouses. And they have nice hats when they come, and they have their umbrellas, but they're only like little umbrellas. very fancy they are. And they all sit round and they talk, but I have to go out then. Children should be seen and not heard, and sometimes not even seen. When these ladies come, I have to be quiet. Shh. And Mama says, then afterwards, I shall have a bit of cake, a bit of Victoria sponge that she's made in the day for the ladies.
Wonderful. So when you're asked to go out, what do you feel you do? What do you spend your time doing when you have to go out?
Sometimes I don't want to go out. But I do go out. And I think, if I could catch a frog or a toad, I'd take it back and chuck it into the room. I'd laugh. That would make them all go, oh. But I take a stick and I run it along the side of the fence. And then I think, ooh, if it make too much noise, because I'm supposed to be being quiet when the ladies come. So I have to go out then. And I go hitting the grass, hitting the trees, just doing nothing much.
So I absolutely love that one. It always makes me smile every time that I see that little clip that I put out. I'm just going to read some comments. If anybody has any questions about this or any questions, any comments or questions, please ask. So Pat, wonderful Pat says, I love this one. She looks so happy. Absolutely. Oh, that's not quite the right one yet. Moira says, could see the little naughty boy in it, can't you? Let's see, another one here. You can picture ladies perfectly from the description. Yeah, absolutely, I can. What a cheeky monkey. And he's trying to be good, but it doesn't last. Absolutely. Really good. Rita, hello to you. I hope that you're good, and thank you for joining tonight. So yeah, do get your questions in. Although I've got a couple of others that I got permission from last time to share as well from other people's channels. I'm going to do something a little different now. I'm going to share commonly asked questions about hypnosis, because some people sometimes have that, and then that might ask people asking more about commonly asked questions about hypnosis. So let me pull this one up, and then I will answer other people's questions later.
Amy's put, what about people who are resistant to hypnosis, Paul?
Nobody's actually resistant to hypnosis. Well, I'll tell you how the idea that people are resistant to hypnosis came from, because in the really early days of hypnosis, they used to do a lot of eye fixation beforehand. It kind of got adapted, and people kind of think of the watch chain being waggled in front of your face. I have very sensitive eyes, and I would struggle with that. And when people have tried that, I don't go into it very well. So I would have been put down at that point as somebody who was not able to go into hypnosis, whereas I just say close your eyes. Sometimes the eye fixation works incredibly well for people. It doesn't work at all well for me. And also as well, fear sometimes holds people back, but everybody can be hypnotized. Most of the time when people are hypnotized, they'll just feel a deep sense of relaxation. And everybody goes into hypnosis anyway. For those that drive, you might hear people going into automatic pilot, where they don't have to really think about driving. I mean, I know for myself now, I don't need to think, right, I've got to change gear now. It just comes automatically. And there's been times when I've had a day off and meant to be driving to see a friend. The next thing I know, I've been driving to work because I've had that program running through me. So you're in a hypnotic trance at that moment when you're going off on your Another thing which people go into, because there is such a thing in hypnosis, when you can give somebody a negative hallucination, which means they see something that's not there. And we've all gone to that before. Have you ever kind of been wondering where on earth you might have like left a pen, left a diary or something, and you're looking everywhere for it, and it's been right in front of your face the entire time? You'll get into a negative hypnosis at that time. So yes, every single person can be hypnotized. Just some people might need a bit more encouraging, because all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. When I got somebody in the chair or on Zoom, I'm watching for those signals that they're going deeper into relaxation, into that state called hypnosis. And when I'm watching out for those signals, then I can then add more signals on top, which makes people go even deeper into the hypnosis. But they're doing it themselves.
Yeah. Mrs. Port, I've never been hypnotized. As a viewer of others being hypnotized, I always get the feeling they are faking. It's always very drastic. I think the ones you may be looking at, are they the staged ones? It's like the stage hypnosis, because that is hypnosis, isn't it, Paul? But is it a different kind of hypnosis?
It is, and I have taken a stage hypnosis course. It was very fun. So I've got taught with Past Life Regressions the wonderful Maria Wheatley, who was on your show, and also Dr. Raymond Roberts. He does celestial training. He does also stage hypnosis. So, and also I must mention Kim Phillips, who taught me NLP as well. But with the stage hypnosis, quite often people get into that stage. They realise they're on the stage, and they don't think they're a chicken at any point. But they're such extrovert type people that suggestions are planted enough in the mind that they're going to do it anyway, and it becomes very difficult for not them to ask to act it out. Plus, as well, stage hypnotists are very skillful at the way they do a show to get the belief going deeper and deeper. So if you watch a stage hypnosis show to begin with, everything starting off is with their eyes closed, and that way it's more believable. So they're using their imagination. Quite often they will, like a hypnotist might say something like, and then you've got an air guitar, and you play that imaginary air guitar when you hear this music. So that's getting the mind thinking about imagination. Because if you just say you have a guitar and you're playing it, people say, I don't have a guitar, this isn't actually happening. But I have seen some incredibly weird things with hypnosis, some people doing some very strange things as well. And also as well, when people truly in hypnosis, not every suggestion will work for every single person. Everybody can be hypnotized, but you also have to get through belief. So if somebody believes, you can give them a negative hallucination. I wouldn't really suggest giving a positive hallucination. That can be a bit more concerning. That, but if they've got that belief that these things are going to happen, it happens. But then
it's that thought process, isn't it?
Even some people that have thought this isn't going to work, I've seen just when I was on the stage hypnosis thing, a very fast, very rapid induction, and somebody was just doing the most incredible things. However, they will not take on anything that it goes against their moral code. So that was actually flickering and glitching a bit. I hope it's just that file. I didn't think that that there was any problems with it last. In fact, I can actually see it flickering in the corner now as that video's down, so I don't know what's playing up there. So I do apologise, people. I hope it wasn't. We'll see how the next clip is looking. There is an excellent question here from Pat, which I will ask now, which I will read. How does fixing your eyes on something put you into a hypnotic state? Well, there's lots of inductions, Pat, that you can do. I try and mix it up a bit, particularly when I'm doing it live, so that people don't get bored with the same induction all the time. One of the things that the hypnotist is looking out for is basically getting the belief, your belief into that hypnotic state. So one of the things that you can do as a hypnotist is get somebody to look at a spot on the wall. And when they look at a spot on the wall and they're looking at it, particularly if it's slightly higher than their average looking gaze, it can start to slightly wear the eyes, so the eyes begin to look tired. And as a hypnotist, you can look out for when somebody's eyes begin to look tired, and then put in the suggestion, in a moment you're going to blink, and then they will do that. You see it's coming close, And when they blink, it adds the suggestion, the belief that, yes, that's right, you're going into hypnosis. I tend not to use that one very much. A couple of times I will. It's very difficult online when you're doing it, but I tend to find, like myself, if you're somebody with very sensitive eyes, it just wears your eyes and it's very uncomfortable. So that's the answer to that. So any other questions from anybody, please do put them down. It'd be lovely to hear from you. And I'm going to actually play another clip here now. As long as I don't get my camera down. I'm going to play another clip here now. And I think that what I'll do here is, this is one which hasn't been seen before. This is the lovely Jane Mortimer from, was the ghost voice, was originally Haunted Cornwall, but now she does Really Haunted. She's been a guest on this show a few times. I've been a guest on her show. Wonderful lady, really, really cool. But I thought I'd just show a little part of the induction, not the actual hypnosis and putting somebody in hypnosis, but the gateway through to hypnosis. And people might wonder why I do it in this particular way, so I thought I could explain. So it's also something that you haven't seen on my Past Life Regressions channel either, or shouldn't have.
I do definitely feel very old.
Actually, that's not the right one. Don't tell I've got the wrong file name. Let's have a look at this.
Go to a corridor that your subconscious mind chooses for you. And this corridor that your subconscious mind chooses for you will have doors leading off to either side. And each of these doors that your subconscious mind creates for you will lead back to an experience. Way back to a life you've lived before this one. But for now, just want you on the count of 3, if you haven't already, to go to that corridor your subconscious mind creates for you. 1, 2, 3. You're in that corridor now of your choosing. Describe this corridor. What's it like?
It's long.
Good.
There's red carpet, beige walls, and dark doors, panelled doors.
Very good. And is there a door in this corridor that you're most drawn to experience a past life?
Not really, it just continues. It's just like I'm carrying on walking.
Okay. Just allow your subconscious mind now to choose a door. And just let me know when your subconscious mind has chosen a door to go back to a life you've lived before this one.
Okay.
Very good. Now just see and experience yourself walking down to that door, down to a door that will take you to that past life of your choosing. On the count of 3, be down just in front of that door. Just let me know when you're just in front of it, but just count to 3 to help you there. 1, 2, 3, down by the door now. Just let me know that you're there.
Stood facing the door.
Very good. In a moment, on the count of 3, door will open to your past life. Be pleased and delighted with either what you can see or sense or feel. Just allow however the information comes to you to come to you. All right, now, count of 3, the door opens to your past life. 1, 2, 3, the door opens to your past life. Describe to me what you can see, sense, or feel through the door.
I'm stood on top of a hill,
Very good.
looking down.
Wonderful.
Everything's green and there's a river at the bottom.
Good. Just allow the door to close now, so you're inside that past life. Just describe to me a little more what you can see and what you're aware of.
Sun shining, it's a blue day. Blue sky.
So I think I've realised what the flickering was all about. It seems to be when I go to big screen. So I will try it on a couple of other videos, but if it flickers, I'll take it to a slightly smaller screen. I've got some excellent questions coming up here. And observation, Chris, my first hypnotic state was in infants. I watched a girl having her hair being done by another girl from a higher class. You can go into hypnotic states all the time. Quite often people are in a hypnotic state whilst driving because you hear what's going on autopilot. Another thing you can see as well is if somebody's watching either a film in the cinema and they've got their popcorn and they're eating it, or you can have it if somebody's watching a film or television program whilst they're at home, and something particularly interesting happens and you see the hand go so far and it stops and they're absolutely transfixed by that, and then they come out of it and then start eating. At that stage people are getting themselves into catalepsy, so which is where the muscles are evenly balanced and is found in very deep trance. Occasionally you might see me do that. Again, it's when I've got people as a demonstration to just sort of show how that works. But some hypnotists will leave their person's hand up like this or like this the entire time. But I've seen on television people come out of it, it's been there the whole time, and then their arms really not very comfortable afterwards. So I won't do that during my regressions. And there's about the or like you're in a dentist chair. I've had clients that have come to see me for dental work, and afterwards they find themselves actually relaxing when they go into the dentist chair automatically, which is really good. And Neil Rushton, hello Neil, I hope you're doing really good. I'll get to your question in a little bit. Can the amount of doors in a corridor change with each visit? That's an excellent question. People's corridors are usually the same each time they go. It's not like I take them to a corridor beforehand. The corridor is a way through. Once or twice I do, just to mix things up, people drop in from out of the sky. Other ways of people getting into hypnosis when they're actually in a deep trance is to have a mists of time surround them and then suddenly part. And if I have a client that one doesn't work to begin with, I don't just go, well, that hasn't worked. I'll then get them to try a different door, get them to have the mists of time, get them to drop out the sky, because you're basically having a doorway to get through to that past life. What I tend to say, well, most of the time now, is I make sure that I don't plant suggestions, which may well come to Neil's question. So I'll read this out and then get to what further I was going to say then. How much of a past life regression is imaginative reconstructions from memories and things we've learnt about from this life, and how much from a genuine past life, or is it a mix of the two? Brilliant question, Neil. With anything in the paranormal world, you can't really stick anything in a Faraday cage and go, this is what it is 100% all the time. When I have a client, I like them to, most of the time, unless it's for healing, sometimes if it's not for them, to get names, dates, places, see what corroborates. And it's really interesting if stuff corroborates And it's really interesting, it corroborates, and there's not that information out there. I've said it before on several lives, and I'm not knocking anybody else that does hypnosis, it's just my style. But there are some hypnotists that I've seen that will say something at the beginning of their regression. What you get in this past life regression you would have not read in a book, you would have not seen on television, you would have not seen in a film, you would have not read about in the newspapers, you would have not been told in school. If I was to tell you now not to think of a pink elephant, anything about the pink elephant, you can change your mind, think about anything else, but whatever you do, don't think about pink elephant. I can guarantee that people are going to be thinking of a pink elephant. So I make sure that whatever I do during the regression is, it doesn't, as much as possible, I don't put in any suggestions. The only suggestions will be going back in time. I tend to say with people when I first started, because I'd like people to have something coming from what is potentially a genuine past life, I used to say at one stage you'll come across an imaginary corridor. I've changed that recently, although occasionally it will slip through, to you'll have a corridor that your subconscious mind creates for you, because I'm trying to get away from the imagination in that part. But I think there's no really way of telling if it's bits from what you've read about. I tend to find if it's all very compelling, it can all be found afterwards. That's incredibly interesting. Also, I've talked about Dr. Ian Stevenson and his children with spontaneous past lives, and there are many accounts and many other people that do and chat with children, get the research on children with spontaneous past lives. And children with spontaneous past lives are those children that they'll talk about going back to their real mother, or when they were big, or this house is too small, my house is much bigger, and they start talking about these stories when they're very young. That's the spontaneous past lives. They're also very compelling. I tend to see if it's a mix and match, but I'm somebody who says that I'm an explorer in this. I'm always exploring, always asking questions, and I think it's always good not to reach a conclusion, but to just see how fascinating the world is, and just always keep asking those questions. And that's really the way I work. I don't really make any claims either way, but there have been some pretty compelling ones as well. So I guess it's people get to see these, get to see the full ones on my channel, get to see the wonderful one I'm doing with you, Neil, on Sunday coming up, and get people to see what they think and feel about it. Colette, how are you? I hope that you're doing good. Elephant facing the door is good luck. And Steve, I hope you're doing good. So, and morning, yes, hello to you. I hope you're enjoying that. Thank you, Neil, for your questions. Thanks, everybody, for your questions so far. Let's see what other videos we've got on here now, because there's quite a few to share. And if any of these start flickering on full screen, I'll then take it to another one. So this is what I'm going to show now. This is the wonderful Beth coming up shortly, Bethy Crowler. She's the pet psychic. And in fact, Beth, excitedly, it's been in, I see it in the Sun newspaper online. She's got a television programme coming up at some point in the future on Channel 5, and about her and spirit communication, animal communication. So that's going to be a good one. So everybody, I'll give everybody a shout out and share Beth's post when that comes out. This is a slightly longer one, but very, very compelling. Beth was on board a ship, and what became quite fascinating with this one is that the character she was a male in her past life regression, and she had a real worry about the ship and it being unsafe, and she actually escaped and ran away and wanted to go home, so she wouldn't go on board the ship because there was a leak and it was quite dangerous. What's fascinating about this one is that the dates of the trains, even though I thought, and other people may have thought, it wasn't quite matching right at the beginning, but there were trains, there were trams at the time. The places that she mentioned were accurate. And also she told me, and I know Beth reasonably well now, and I totally respect and believe Beth that she didn't know these places. So we'll have a little bit of look at a slightly longer one, about 7 minutes this one, but it's quite compelling. So I'm going to share this one, the wonderful Psychic Beth.
And tell me about what you're doing now.
I'm running away.
Okay. How comes you're running away?
I think if nobody sees me, I can jump on the train. I can hide on the train. I've got to sneak onto the train. Get back.
Why do you want to run away?
I'm scared to go on the boat again.
Okay.
The boat's not safe. We had a lucky escape. We might not be lucky again.
Staying with this lifetime. I want you just to move forward a few hours from where you are right now. 1, 2, 3. A few hours forward, and let me know what you're doing now. Staying with that lifetime.
I'm at the station.
Okay.
The train didn't take me far enough. I had to get off. I have to wait till tomorrow morning to get another train. I'm just gonna find somewhere to sleep. I'll just
Okay.
find a little place where nobody can see me.
And now, staying with this lifetime, let me know what station or where you've ended up at.
Betsy Coyd.
That's nice. And describe to me what you're seeing right now.
It's a big lamp. It's a big street lamp, it's black. And then I can see somewhere to wait in the waiting room, but I don't think there's any doors on there. It's like 3 sides and no doors, made out of brick. There's a little wooden bench that runs all the way along the inside. I can just sit on there, but it's very narrow.
Now, just moving forward a little in time. So it's nighttime, and let's see if you decide to try and get some rest. Just allow that to happen and let me know what you're doing now.
I'm walking away. They told me to go. You can't stay here. You're not allowed to stay here. So I'm just trying to walk towards home. It's a long way.
Okay. And who told you you weren't allowed to stay?
Station master.
Okay. So you're walking now. Just allow time to move forward a little bit further in time now, staying with this same lifetime. Just to the next day. And let me know what's happening now.
I can get a tram. I'm going to get a tram.
Wonderful. And how are you going to get a tram?
Oh, I asked somebody which way to go and they showed me the way to go. They said, if you go up Langdale Street and then turn right and keep going there, you can get the tram. And then you can get the tram and you can go to Chester. And then I know if I get to Chester, I know I can get home.
Good. Now, staying with this same lifetime, we just move further forward a little bit in time and let me know what's happening, just say an hour or two further ahead. Allow that to happen now. Staying with this lifetime, just moving an hour or two further ahead. Tell me what you're experiencing now.
I had to get off the tram because I hadn't got any money.
Sorry to hear that.
Just, I only got a penny, but I need that for food. I'm very hungry.
Sorry to hear you're hungry. And who was it that told you to get off the tram?
The man with the bag. He's in charge of the tram. He said, "You haven't got a ticket." I said, "I have got a ticket, I've lost it. I've dropped it on the floor, it's here somewhere." And he said, "You're a liar." I had to get off because I did tell lies. I was telling a lie. I hadn't got one.
It's understandable. Staying with this lifetime, just let me know where you've got off the tram, where it is. Where are you now?
I don't know where I am.
Can you
It's
describe
very busy there. It's very busy. I can see the horses. I like horses.
That's good. I'm glad you like horses there. They're nice. And just allow now just a few moments to pass. Staying with this lifetime, just a few moments. Moving further forward in time. And tell me what is happening now.
It's okay. I can get on the coach. Because that man, he says, if I help him with his horse, he'll give me a free ride.
So there we go. Got a few more to read out. Yeah, it does seem to flicker when I get it full screen, so I won't be doing that from now on. So let's get some of these up. I know Betsy Coyd quite well. Betsy Coyd, it's nice there, isn't it? Very picturesque place. Thank you, Anne. Hi, brilliant night. I remember this lady. There was a couple of technical problems throughout. She did cut out a couple of times. And I remember I actually went green, looked a bit like the Green Man at one point. So there was a couple of internet problems going on with that. And Pat says, some of these are heartbreaking. Yeah, fortunately though, this one had a nice happy ending to it. She actually got a lift back. The man she got a lift back. The man he in the past life got a lift back with, ended up marrying the sister. So it had quite a happy ending to it. Now, as we got this far through at the moment, I thought it might be quite nice to do a suggestibility test. So if you're not operating machinery or driving, you shouldn't be driving, unfortunately, but maybe you are, you've got it on the speaker. Don't do this next little exercise, but I thought it might be quite fun for people to join in. It is what stage hypnotists do at the beginning of a show, quite often, to see if people are suggestible or not. So if you want to join in with this and it's safe to do so, please feel free to join in. And I'll just pull this up now, the suggestibility test for everybody, and ask some questions on that. And do let me know how you get on with the suggestibility test too.
A suggestibility test with, you hold your hands out like this, and one's got an Oxford Dictionary in, the other's got a helium balloon taking your hand up higher and higher. But this is a good way, moving slightly more to the entertainment side of things, but it can also be an indication when you're working with a client, and though very rarely I'll do this with a client, to see how suggestible people are. Now, there's no fail and there's no pass with this. It's a little bit like when you see a stage hypnotist, they usually get about 30 people on the stage and they whittle them down, and in the end they're left with about 6 people that are really suggestible. So this is just for fun basically, and you know, you can do this with other people. I absolutely promise you that I'm not going to use any hypnosis. This is purely just suggestibility. So do you both want to give it a go? It may work for you, it may not work, but we'll just see what happens. So, and everybody watching this at the moment, unless you really need to use your hands, just do this. So if you listen to my voice, first of all, get your hands like this and clasp them. You may have seen this happen before, and make them really tight. So it's not just like that, it's like you're pressing together firmly like that. And if you just close your eyes. Now what I'd like you to do is imagine that your hands are locked, glued, stuck together. Your hands are locked, glued, stuck together. And I like to really sort of feel what it would be like. Really imagine that glue pressing between your palms. And as you do that, you squeeze your fingers and your hands tighter and tighter together. Now I want you to imagine tape now being wrapped around your hands and fingers. The tape being wrapped around your hands and fingers, squeezing them tighter and tighter together. And now put on the vice going between the hands, squeezing them tighter and tighter, tighter and tighter, locked together, tighter and tighter, locked together, locked, stuck, fast together, locked, stuck, fast together, tighter and tighter. And in a moment, I'm going to get you to try and unstick your hands. As you try and unstick your hands, they just remain tight, fast, stuck together, stuck together. So whilst thinking of that, with your eyes now closed, just try and let your hands go apart. Just try and let them go apart now. I'm now going to count to 3. When I click my fingers, your eyes will open, your hands will part. 1, 2, 3. Your hands will apart and open your eyes.
That, do you know, I felt when my hands were going tight, I could feel, look how red my fingers have got in between. I can feel that. But do you know, the heat you feel in your hands?
Yeah.
Do you know, like when you just put your hands together like that? But
yes.
you know, with what Paul was saying, and it was going to, I could feel my hands going tighter and tighter, and I'm thinking, oh.
So there we go. It'll be interesting to see how that worked for people. Let me just remove that from the studio. That's good. So let's see what Pat has put. I done this at the beginning of Dan Brown's show and was almost the last of the audience standing and almost ended up on stage. Yeah, I've done shows like that before. It was Tony Lee, who's a hypnotist. He starts off like that. The person that taught me said he gets a load of people on the stage and then does the test. A lot of hypnotists that you go to stage show, you go up. I think a couple of reasons why he didn't. One, if somebody's got their hands clasped together and they trip up and they fall down on their face, that might not be so good. And also as well, he didn't like getting people up on the show that might not like getting up on the show. So let's have a look. Sue said, wow, interesting. Anne said, I felt it going tighter and hard to open hands. What Steve say? I felt mine getting tighter and tighter, but was able to pull them apart in the end. Yeah, I mean, so I wouldn't be upset about it, Steve, or were you glad? Different people are different, and that's why when you have a stage hypnotism show, usually there's about 30 on the stage to begin with, and they get whittled down. There's usually, most of the time, sometimes there's 12 up there, but usually you have about 6 people, very good suggestible people. Everybody can take certain suggestions on, but the ones that are happy to go and be part of the show are left on the stage in the end. Remember expanding bubble trick with hands. I remember the expanding bubble trick with the hands. Good. So right now, everybody, I hope you found that good. How did you get on, Sue? Did you actually have your hands stick together? Managed to go through these a little faster this time, but if you've got any questions, please do ask. That would be wonderful. and I'll get another video up for everybody to see which ones of the selection that I didn't show last time would be good. Brilliant. We're going to show Richard Felix now, a little clip from when he was on The Ghost Voice, now Really Haunted, and I'd like to talk a little bit about this particular regression afterwards because something interesting happened.
I've got coats on, more than one coat. I just want the journey to end.
Okay. Tell me why you want the journey to end.
It's so cold. So cold, so uncomfortable. I'm not alone. There's someone else. Someone else sat on the back. I don't know why, who. They're all wrapped up as well. Everyone's wrapped up. There's luggage on top. Lots of luggage on top. And there's people on top as well, holding on for dear life.
Very good.
And now it doesn't even seem to have any suspension. Yeah, I'm cold, I'm fed up, I'm uncomfortable. And it's not the first time I've done it. I've done it before. I've done it all my life. Not all my life, but all my working life.
And just tell me why you do this. Why do you do this journey?
Money. It's a job. It's a reasonably well paid job for the time. It's a profession. I'm saying this. Don't know why I'm saying this.
Very good. Tell me about this profession that you do.
It's like a bouncer, but not a bouncer. It's a guard. I'm guarding I'm there guarding it.
Right.
I'm guarding the coach. That's why I've got a blunderbuss.
Very good.
And it's loaded, of course.
Have you ever had to use it?
Only in practice.
Okay.
Practicing, in case anything happens.
Wonderful.
In case we get robbed. Therefore, to stop it.
And tell me a little bit about how you practice. What do you do to practice with blunderbuss? What do you have to do?
Fire at anything that, because you can hit it spreads like a shotgun, but it's not a shotgun, and it spreads. So really, you could even practice just firing at a tree, because you're obviously supposed to be firing at a person, a man. Firing at trees, firing at anything else, a jar. You can always hit it because it spreads.
So it was really interesting, and what is interesting about that one is that it did take Richard a while to go into hypnosis. I wondered if it might. I think it was very difficult for him to get his mind out of the way and go with it, which does leave me on to, hi Cowabunga, hope you're doing good. And this goes on to Colette's messages, what she's written here as well. But what was interesting about it took quite a while to get Richard's mind out of the way and let him go into the hypnosis. When it was in, that's why when he was in, you were getting up. He's there, took a while. First of all, what I was getting from Richard was very sort of light, sketchy messages, information coming through, and then I did some more deepening, and after a long time, I eventually got somewhere. And what was interesting about it is that always try as much as I can to ask the right questions, what's going to be right for the person. And Richard Felix is a historian, and I remember at the time, and I wasn't doing the live, but a question did come up, which I did say to people as well, if you want me to ask anything, ask, because sometimes people will have a brilliant question that they could ask, and I haven't thought about it, which is really useful. And somebody happened to ask, at the time, for me to ask Richard who was on the throne. And it was from that moment that kind of Richard sort of paused a bit and said, well, I know, but he wouldn't know. And that kind of took him away from that hypnotic state. And I think if I had a one-to-one with him, I probably wouldn't have asked that, because it wasn't even relevant to what was going on at the moment. But as it popped up, I thought, I'll ask that particular question. And it is really interesting because it's not only just me that's noticed it, but other people that do past life regressions, that you might have somebody who's incredibly knowledgeable, and you could ask them in full waking consciousness about history, names, dates. But when they're in a regression, if they say go back to being someone who wouldn't really know about that sort of information, they tend to not be able to answer at all. And Charlene from last week, she went back to being in like one of the Vikings, and she was saying about praying to the gods and things. Now, asking Charlene, she knows about the gods and would be able to roll probably quite a lot of them off to me if I just ask what are the Viking gods that they used to pray to and they used to worship. But under the hypnosis, it was very protective, and she didn't say, and she said she felt afterwards when she came out that she was like protecting them in some way. So it's really interesting why that happens sometimes when people are in the hypnotic state. But I also find that really fascinating and great. We've had Colette, is everybody able to be hypnotized? Everybody is able to be hypnotized. There's different ways of hypnotizing people. You often see me doing like a relaxation one online. Occasionally I'll get people to count numbers as well. If you're somebody who's very analytical, they tend to prefer confusion techniques so that you're not paying too much attention. But everybody can go into hypnosis. Not everybody I get does get a past life. I'd say it's about 98% of the people, I think, get a past life. So it's quite a lot of people will get a past life regression, although it does happen that people don't occasionally. But in those times, I'll give them an MP3 to listen to. When they start getting something, they can rebook the session with me at no extra cost. So everybody can be hypnotized, but it's allowing yourself to be hypnotized. Again, going back to what was up earlier, there's the saying only some people can be hypnotized. This was because the eye fixation technique that people use, but there's a lot more techniques now. And as I said in the little clip that I showed, my eyes are quite light sensitive, so I would probably be somebody that was put down as not being able to be hypnotized. But when you feel yourself going, is to allow yourself to go further, because self-hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So you feel yourself going into that wonderful relaxing state called hypnosis. You allow yourself to go further. If you're just going to suddenly shake your head and bring yourself round, you're never going to be able to go into it because you're blocking yourself. But everybody can if they're willing to go into it. Let's see what Pat says. Might have been a male coach. Yeah, it might have been. Marie, how are you doing? I hope you're good. And hello to Wendy. I hope everybody is good as well. And I hope that you're liking these clips that I'm sharing. So let me find another video here. We're getting quite close to the end of the clips, but I'm sure I can find something else. Let's just get Jane Harris up here. Jane Harris was, well, you know, Jane Harris from Help My House is Haunted, HD Paranormal, lovely lady. So let's get her up here now, my regression with her on her channel.
Go to a...
I'm pressing the wrong buttons tonight. Sorry about this. Let's get Jane Harris up here. Both Janes. I was going to see if I got. I hope I haven't saved it under the same file name.
Go
Yeah, I've
to
not saved it. Same file name. This is embarrassing. Let's get this up now. Thank you, Colette. Thank you. Fingers crossed.
Now, just let me know what your dad's name is, your father's name. What's his name?
Mick.
Mick. Very nice. And now I'd like you to go to a time when you're with your dad, your father, Mick. That happens now. And describe to me how your dad looks.
He's very strong. Big hands. He's fixing a basket.
That's good. And now, you mentioned the brother Jack, and you mentioned your ma and your dad. Is it just the four of you, or are you aware of anyone else?
It's just us four.
Very nice. Staying with this lifetime, I want you now to move further forward in time. Further forward to you being at the age of 20. That happens now. The age of 20. Describe to me what you're doing at the age of 20.
I'm supposed to get married.
Okay. And who are you supposed to get married to?
Peter.
Peter.
He's missing.
I'm sorry to hear that. How long has Peter been missing?
3 months.
3 months. And was there anything surrounding why he went missing, or was it a mystery?
I think he wanted to make more money. He went to the sea. He went to the sea.
Okay. So he went to the sea. We'll come back to that a little later. But now I just want you to go back a little bit in time to the moment when you first met Peter in this lifetime. That happens now. Time when you first met Peter. And describe that encounter to me.
We're in the town and I'm walking with a basket going home. And he's with another young boy, his brother. And we just passed each other and said hello. And then I think he called me back. So we just chatted.
That's nice. And describe Peter to me. How does he look?
Tall, quite a lot taller than me, with fair hair, very handsome.
And his brother, who he's with. Describe his brother.
He looks really scruffy. He's young, much younger. Looks cheeky.
And did Peter give you a name of the brother?
It's Daniel, I think.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Now, just allow Peter's surname to come into your mind now. What's Peter's surname?
Crook.
Okay, good. So it's Crook.
Yeah.
Now, staying with this lifetime, we just move further forward to later on with Peter and going missing. Just to at the point where it's maybe a little later on, and just to see whether in this lifetime you've got any news. I'll allow that to happen now. And describe that to me, what's happening.
They haven't found him, but they think the ship went down and that he was probably on it, and 4 others.
I'm sorry to hear that. Did Peter describe to you the sort of work that he would be doing on the ship?
No.
No. Did he let you know a name of the ship?
Charlotte.
So there's Jane Harris's part of her regression, and that was on her HD Paranormal channel. I must say a massive thank you to Nanny Lynn, who put me in contact with, well, suggested Jane contact me, and Nanny Lynn, being the wonderful lady she is, said some really nice things about me, and Jane Harris contacted me. That regression went out during the lockdown period where people weren't going out and people were finding other ways of bringing the paranormal to their viewers, and I am lucky that I was one of those people that people could go to for the regression. So I must thank Lynn. There's also other couple of people had mentioned myself to Jane, so but it was through Nanny Lynn I actually got the regression, so big thank you. Let's go back to, I did say hello to Marie, didn't I? I think I did, yeah, sorry if I didn't say hello. Anyway, I missed saying hello to, I do apologise. I do put your name in to say hello. We're going back to Richard Felix past life regression here. He was questioning himself. Yeah, he was kind of questioning himself at the time. Wendy, how are you? I hope you're good. It's fascinating. Thank you so much, Colette. That's really nice of you. Let's pull this one up because I think it's important to read. Hi Neil, I enjoyed your interview last week very much and looking forward to your regression on Sunday. So that'll be on my past life regressions with Paul Goddard YouTube. So if you're a subscriber, please come along to that on Sunday. And if you're not a subscriber and can subscribe, please subscribe. It will be really good for you to do that. So, and big thank you to Neil for doing this as well. I'm going to take a look, see what videos I have now. I think I've kind of gone through most of them actually, if not all of them. I was planning on a few more, but let me just see, because I have got regressions which I might go to and just stop at certain points. If not, there's plenty of other things that I can talk about in the final minute of, 30 minutes of time. But I'm going to make sure I've got the right past life regressions as well. Yeah, I don't want to pull up the wrong thing here. Richard Fix has past life regressions with Paul Goddard. Yeah, I think that might have been what I played before. So let me just go to some other bits. But yeah, no, I think I might have actually. Let me just go through those. So I've done Psychic Beth, I've done commonly asked questions about hypnosis. I've got the ghost voice, if anybody wants to hear that again, that was shared. I left that in here. I've got the Jane clips and yes, the wonderful Janet as well. But there's plenty of other clips that we can see. Let's have a look at this. We did have a bit, but it's fab hearing and listening. I've almost forgotten most of it. Yes, so she must have probably seen some before, and thank you, Colette, for that. When I do my talks about reincarnation, I kind of stop in two different ways and come towards the end. I always like people to have it being that whether you believe in reincarnation or not, that this life is the most important one to be living and enjoying, and you can use the past lives to learn and grow as well. And I say that whether you believe or not, make this life to the full. I build it up a lot better than this actually during my talks. So if anybody just goes to my talks, please come. That'd be wonderful. But I always like to finish with this one, and I'm not finishing with this time. I've got a few more things to do because I will go to 10 o'clock for everybody. But this is Nadine Stair, who says she was 85 years old when she wrote this, and this is actually in the book Chicken Soup for the Soul. Wonderful collection of stories if anybody has that. If I had my life to live over again, I'd dare to make more mistakes next time. I'd relax. I would limber up. I would be sillier than I have been on this trip. I would take fewer things seriously. I would take more chances. I would take more trips. I would climb more mountains and swim more rivers. I would eat more ice cream and less beans. I would perhaps have more actual troubles, but I have fewer imaginary ones. You see, I'm one of those people who live sensibly and sanely hour after hour, day after day. Or I've had my moments, and if I had to do it over again, I'd have more of them. In fact, I try to have nothing else, just moments, one after another, instead of living so many years ahead of each day. I've been one of those people who never go anywhere without a thermometer, a hot water bottle, a raincoat and a parachute. If I had to do it again, I would travel lighter next time. If I had my life to live over, I would start barefoot earlier in the spring and stay that way later in the fall. I would go to more dances, I would ride more merry-go-rounds, I would pick more daisies. So yeah, I really like reading that out at the end of the talks. I think that's a good lesson for every single one of us. Let's see what Wendy says here. My whole life has felt like in a past life I've done something really bad. Oh, sorry, I hope you don't mind reading this out, Wendy. I thought it was a question, and for a second I think this would help me remember. My whole life I felt like in a past life I've done something really bad. I think this would help me remember. Well, yes, I do. I don't have it behind me at the moment because I was sitting somewhere else when I did it, but I do have CDs for sale through eBay. And I should have put the link in with this, shouldn't I? And so if you go to eBay, Past Life Regressions, Paul Goddard, it will pop up. But you can also email me, paul@paulgoddardnlp.co.uk, and I can sort through and send through some MP3s for you. Couldn't quite think of that at the moment. Good. Right now, let's see what else we can get to you right now. I'm going to look at my YouTube channel because I'm aware that I'm a little bit time to go still. And I'm going to see what I can play through the YouTube channel because there's lots and lots of regressions that I can give people. So about 20 minutes left towards the end now. And there's some really quite fascinating regressions. I've been on other people's channels which have been really nice and really lovely, and yeah, I've had Amelia Cotter as well. That was another good past life regression that I did, and when I say that I did, I'm not like blowing my own trumpet. I'm sort of really appreciative to the people that have come on and agreed to be hypnotized and been put under hypnosis by me. So right, let's get these up for my channel. I'm just going to download one quick and just show a little clip of it. So this is coming down. Oh, it's actually got quite a long time to download, so maybe this isn't quite so possible after all. Actually, about 10 minutes to go, so I hope that the this is going okay for you, but I would love to answer some questions now. So if anybody has any questions about hypnosis, about past lives, please ask me now, because I'm happy just to talk away and rip it on for a bit, but it'd be really nice if you could just you know, anything that you think that would be useful to know. So let me have this. Pat, thank you. Thank you, my friend, for helping me out here. Have you ever done a regression where a person in the past lives had been a really bad person? Yes, a couple of times. Excellent question. And I'd say that it does happen. I tend to find people that are bad in past lives and are happy to talk about being not such a good person in the past lives are usually quite spiritually awake, quite spiritually aware, and they've done a lot of self-work, so they're that happy to go to that darker place and I tend to find that yeah, the most spiritual people are the ones that will go to that sort of life. So it does happen occasionally. Most people don't, and I think it's because people don't want to go there. But you know, it does happen, and I think if somebody really needs to go to that place, they will go to that place. And a couple of things that is done as well that you might be interested to know is that some phobias can start off in certain ways, like going back into the past. It's quite bad, but you know, you used to be able to. A husband could beat the wife with a stick as long as it was no bigger than the thumb. And people that have had that experience, when they've said anything out of line, can be very doubtful about expressing their own feelings. So things like that can come through as well, because you know, unfortunately, a lot of things in the past might have not been that brilliant for people as well. Let's get Lorna. Hello to you. Don't worry for being late. You've missed most of the clips, unfortunately. I'm trying to download one to get up at the moment, if it's even done in time. Let's see that. What Pat says. Does that affect them in the present life? It can most certainly do. You know, people can have regrets from a previous life experience. I've had people that have drowned in the past life and had a fear of water. And after experiencing somebody drowning as somebody else, it releases the fear. But I also do healing work, so even when it's just past life regression for interest, I do that healing work for people so that I make sure that they're feeling better from the whole situation. So even if it's just for interest, even if it's a live show, I will always say, "Can I have would you like to have healing?" Sometimes people say no. But it's always there if people feel they need it. Let's get Colette up here. Is the most unusual regression you've ever done? So I take it can be a bit funny when you type, particularly on the phone sometimes. What's the most unusual regression that you've done? I had someone who was a dragon trainer. That was quite an interesting one. I didn't research it myself, but later on I was told by somebody that the person that they were did write fantasy books. I wanted to check that up more fully, but that was an interesting one. I had somebody who was a whale. It becomes difficult to ask questions at that point, but I then moved them to a human life, but they were quite happy being a whale, swimming next to the fish. I had somebody who was an ape, and they were like I guess you could say the main king ape, and they were really proud of being an ape. So they're the more unusual ones. Most of them aren't too unusual, though, to be honest with you. Let's see what we've got up here. Are you bound by the DNA of this life to past life? It's interesting, Kathleen, and hello to you. Oops, I'll get you up in a second, Wendy. There is also a theory of genetic memory, and that maybe the past lives that we're getting are through the genetic memory, and perhaps it's through the genes somehow that you're remembering. Scientists, at least certain ones, aren't totally sure where memory comes from, and that it could be potentially out in the ether somewhere. I've spoken to it quite a few times, but there's the famous rat experiment, and sorry to mention it, but where they've taken bits of the rat's brain. Is horrible, I don't agree with it, and basically the rat has previously learnt the maze, but no matter how bad they were at ability, because parts of their brains being removed, the rat was still able to remember the maze. And I mentioned it before, but one of my friends, his uncle had a liver transplant, and he wasn't very fussy about his clothes, what he wore beforehand, and when he had when he had a liver transplant, afterwards his life had changed and he became a lot more fussy about the clothes that he wore, and actually got quite upset when he didn't have matching pyjamas. So from somebody who didn't care how they were dressed being quite fussy, how they dressed after having the liver transplant, it does suggest that memory might not be just in the brain as we think about it. I've also heard stories as well of people having an organ transplant, saying transplanted from one person to another, and they've been able to get joy in classical music, and some people actually been able to pick up and play a piano where they might have not been able to do that beforehand, and learn very, very quickly. So it is really fascinating stuff. Wendy, do you think going into a dark past life can help cope with this life? Certainly, and it's not just dark that they've been bad. Sometimes it can be how the person has been treated themselves, and get them to think differently about where they are now. I've lost count how many regressions I've done quite some time ago, but I always like to only say the stories that people are happy of me talking about. So I'm just racking my brain now of the different past lives that I've done, of one that somebody said, yes, I'm happy for you to talk about that particular past life. I mean, the one which I do mention, because I know that the person said, yes, you can mention that, was somebody who was a miser in a past life. And when they got to the end of that life, they suddenly realised all the things they were missing with their children, that fun they could have had. So in the next life round, they weren't a miser, they were giving the money away, and they weren't keeping enough back for themselves. I've certainly known times where a parent has lost a child in a past life, and then moving forward to this life, there's that real fear. I mean, there's a fear and for safety of your children anyway, but sometimes you get that real deeper feel that's kind of almost a phobia of something really bad happening to the child. And I've done regressions before where there's been an accident in the child, and maybe the parent wasn't focused enough at that time, or one thing or another. So, but everywhere that has come and said it's been a very healing process afterwards. I've never had somebody that said afterwards they didn't like it or they felt traumatized, and I always make sure I do check up with someone when somebody comes, especially when they come to see me. I'll make sure that I offer them a coffee afterwards, they have a bit of a chat afterwards, after doing the healing work, and also allow that time when we're doing one-to-one sessions over the internet as well. And sometimes during the lives afterwards, I stop and continue talking to the people as well to make sure they're okay. So what's this? Is there a difference between past life regression and regression in childhood? Yes, there is. So far, only been regressed to childhood. It felt like very high resolution memory, like a super real dream. Yes, it is very different because it's still this life. I have done regressions with people, but it's something I do with very cautiously. I make sure that the person I'm chatting to hasn't had anything they think might be a trauma in a past life, because hypnosis, you can't tell 100% that it's exactly the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God, hand up in the air. And there is the possibility that they may be pulling on memories, different things they've seen from books. So maybe you could open a can of worms where something actually didn't happen to a child. And I find it quite interesting, and other regressionists haven't had it. And I haven't had it for ages, but in my early days I had. People would want to book me because they were taking information to a solicitor or something that happened to them as a child. And if any hypnotist does that, the information, one, you don't know if it's absolutely 100% genuine, and secondly, the court would turn it out straight away, and I think that it could end up doing a lot more harm than good. So if somebody feels they've been through something like that, I always recommend a counsellor. So yes, but what I will be doing, Neil, during your regression is taking you back to a life you've lived before this one. So it will be like reliving memories, but not your memories, and it would be different to making it up. I do have on my channel Paul Goddard and my Paul Goddard NLP and hypnotherapy, although I slightly re-edited it for the normal just Paul Goddard channel. I did a MP3 called The Hypnotic Holiday for when we were in lockdown and people going stir crazy, feeling they wanted to get out, missing their families. I did like a free hypnotic holiday that people could go and travel and experience what they want to travel during that time. But there were certain things that I said during that regression, putting it to COVID, that wouldn't make sense now. So I went and did that regression and redid it, because I also know that it doesn't have to be lockdowns. There are a lot of people that now can't travel through ill health, and I thought that it would be nice to give people something so they can re-experience that joy of travelling. Right, what's this? My biggest phobia is anything sharp. So potentially it was a past life, Pat. Thanks, Chris. And yeah, we have here the healing section on your CD is so relaxing. I'm glad you like it. So even on my CD, if you just want to have some healing, there's the final track on it. Now I'm going to see if I can get this last little clip up. This is Lynette, who came to see me. Hopefully I can find it on here. So let's give this a go. Just play a little short few moments of it. If I can find it on here, hopefully I can share this video. I think this is it. So I'm going to skip forward because this is the whole video.
It's on my Instagram. It's also on my Facebook.
Brilliant. Just a little plug there. That's my CDs if people want to buy them. So let's move forward and play a little bit of this and see where we go, because this was quite an interesting one. Yeah.
I'm at home. I've had my first child.
That's lovely.
It's a girl.
Describe your first child to me. How's she looking now as you look at her?
She's only just over a year old.
Beautiful.
She's toddling around. She's got dark curly hair, sort of like, I say dark, but like a sort of micey brown curly hair. And she's just toddling around the cottage.
That's really nice.
I have to keep her away from the fire though, she's into everything.
Lots of children are.
Mm.
Now, tell me her name. What's her name?
Sarah.
Sarah. That's a lovely name. And William told me he was working on the farm. Do you still feel that he's doing that?
Yeah.
That's good. Tell me a little bit about this place that you live now in Bridgnorth, the little cottage that you're living in, or the sidewalk cottage, just some of the things that you're aware of as you're in this space now, what you're aware of.
Everything seems to be made of wood. It's handmade. William made the table and the chairs.
It's very good.
There's only one room.
Okay.
There's a sleeping area in one part of the room, and the other part is our living area.
Tell me about this sleeping arrangement. How does it look when you are there?
It's just a mattress on the floor. It's not a bed, a conventional bed that you would see today. It's on the floor with just blankets on it. There's not even any pillows.
Okay.
There's a basket, quite a large one that's been made for Sarah that she still sleeps in, but I think she's going to outgrow it soon.
That's nice, she has a basket to sleep in. And staying with this lifetime, we'll move further forward again in time, further forward. She'd been at the age of 25. 1, 2, 3, 25 years old. And I'd like to know about your 25th year, please.
I now have 2 children.
That's lovely. Tell me about your second child.
It's a little boy, he's called Samuel.
So I thought I'd stop there because it's coming to the end of the show. But that was a lovely, lovely regression. And as you can see, the expression that people get when they're enjoying having these regressions is just really nice. And you can see Lynette's face there, how she was really enjoying talking about her children. And it's really interesting that people will go, because I've had people that have come to see me and they've never wanted children, but when they're having the regression and they come across their child, you suddenly see their face just light up because they're really happy in that previous life. We're coming to the end, so I will give a couple of other mentions shortly. Kathleen says, thank you for answering my question. Was wondering if my current ethnicity in this ethnic anchor for all my lives. I wondered if a white person can be another ethnic background in other lives. Yes, most definitely. People can be male or female in the past life regression, and people can be from all over the world. It's quite amazing how many people are around quite locally, and in India you get people move into local villages as well sometimes, so there can also be a tendency to stay local as well sometimes, but then also you get people that travel all around the world. If it is local, a couple of times it has been a hometown, but most of the time it's been like a couple of towns away, say about a sort of 20-30 minute drive away, and quite often in India, as I said, it could be neighbouring villages as well. Brilliant. So we're coming fastly to the end of the show. Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you for being with me. Again, I'd like to wish Lindsay and Jon a speedy recovery. Neil Story, the wonderful Neil Story, I saw him at Parameet. He's also been in an episode so far of each season, Help My House is Haunted. He's the person with the most wonderful, luxurious moustache that I think even Hercule Poirot would be quite envious of. And when I saw him, he was talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I don't know what he'll be talking about this time around, but he's also a paranormal investigator. He just knows so much history. It's you know, when I saw his talk, I was just absolutely gripped on every single word that he said. So it was going to be a really, really fascinating one. Colette says here, it's been brilliant, thank you. I am actually going to go live again in just a little bit, but it'll only be a 2-3 minute, 5 minute live maximum on my Paul Goddard NLP and hypnotherapy channel. I realise I haven't put anything on there for months. I really should put something on there. I want to do a little video, and I'll be taking some information from this wonderful book, Robert Dilts. Robert Dilts is quite a spiritual NLP coach now, and he's well respected in the field. This isn't a spiritual book, but he's gone very much down the spiritual line now, which is good, but also does classic NLP. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about this small section, just a paragraph or two, that's in this fantastic book, From Coach to Awakener by Robert Dilts. I'll be on my Paul Goddard NLP and hypnotherapy channel just about 5 minutes, in about 5-10 minutes time. Thank you so much, everybody, and I'm just going to read out a few of these again. Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you, Cowabunga. And Lorna says she'll have to walk back. So enjoy. Hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow, and wherever you're watching around the world, if your day's just started and you're halfway through the day, I hope you have and will continue to have an outstanding one. Take care, and I'll see you next week.